When Pittsburgh won their first Stanley Cup under the Barry Lemieux-led Penguins in the early 1990s, it was a great celebration in Pittsburgh. But I remember an radio announcer from Pittsburgh saying, "It's all well and good, but we also have to recognize what the Pittsburgh Hornets did for minor league hockey and help build a sport in the greater Pittsburgh region." And I tend to agree. The Pittsburgh Hornets only went out of existence because the Penguins were formed and joined the NHL. The Hornets folded right after. But on the minor league level, when you're a three-time league champion and you come back after 5 years away and you're just as good when you reform, you got to be dedicated. Now, the Pittsburgh Hornets, again, were based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for a number of years. From 1936 to 1967, with a break between 56 and 61. Now, contrary to popular belief and legend, the Pittsburgh Hornets did not evolve from the IHL's Pittsburgh Shamrocks. The franchise started playing 27, playing the first 9 campaigns as the Detroit Olympics. Then, on October 4, 36, after winning the IHL title, the Olympics moved to Pittsburgh to become the Hornets. Bill Anderson and Bill Hudson were the only 2 players from the Shamrocks to be on the Hornets roster at the start of the 37 campaign. Now, the Hornets were still a minor league team for the NHL's Detroit Red Wings, made their debut in the International American Hockey League in 37. The league eventually transformed into the AHL in 1940. Now, the Hornets eventually disbanded after the 56th season, and the franchise was suspended because the old Duquesne Gardens was torn down. The Hornets reappeared in a new Civic Arena in 61, and after a poor start, they became AHL contenders again, this time as a farm club for the Red Wings. They won a division title in 64 and won their third Calder Cup in 67. Following the 67 win, the Hornets permanently closed operations as the Pittsburgh Penguins began play the next fall and took over the market when the NHL expanded. Now, we always said that, they started the Olympics in 27, and similar to how the Toronto Marlies and Maple Leafs shared a rink, they played their home games at Detroit Olympia. The Olympics played 2 seasons in the Canadian Professional Hockey League, CanPro, and 7 seasons in the IHL after the IHL split from CanPro in 1929. The IHL would then merge with the Canadian American Hockey League, Can-Am, in 36 to form the International American Hockey League. In October 36, John Harris, a Pittsburgh theater chain owner, purchased the Olympics and relocated the team to Pittsburgh to become the Hornets. The Hornets were led by former Olympics coach Don Hughes, and the Hornets won their first 2 franchise games against the Cleveland Falcons on November 7, 36 at the Duquesne Gardens. During the 39 season, Larry Orey replaced Don Hughes as the second coach in team history. That year, Don Deacon led the IHL with 41 assists and 65 points, and in 1940, the Hornets won 25 and made the playoffs and advanced to the Calder Cup finals. Now, the Hornets were originally the minor league affiliate of the Red Wings, who won the Stanley Cup in 36. Larry Orey, a member of that team, was a player-coach and led them their first appearance again in the finals in 1940, where they were swept in 3 games by the Providence Reds. Now, at the start of the 41 season, the International American Hockey League, IHL, became the AHL. During the early 1940s, the Hornets had mediocre finishes. However, during this time frame, the team still continued to set league records. In 42, Red Heron set an AHL record by scoring 6 goals in 1 game, which is a double hat-trick. Also in 44, Bob Gracie and Bob Walton were the AHL's top scorers with 95 points each. 2 AHL records were set on March 17, 45. That night, the Cleveland Barons in Pittsburgh set the mark for most goals scored in 1 period. By netting a combined 12, Pittsburgh and Cleveland scored a combined 12 goals in a third. Pittsburgh 7, Cleveland 5. The total goals scored in the game, 22, is also a 1-game record. However, not all records set by the Hornets were positive. During the 44 season, the Hornets did not win 1 game away from their home rink. The winless record on the road was the first occurrence of such a feat in the history of the AHL. Following the season, Larry Horry ended his stint as coach to finish with an overall record of 129, 162, and 39 in 330 games, a 45% winning percentage. Now, following the Horry's departure, Max Kaminsky became the third coach of the Hornets in 44. A year later, the Hornets became a minor league franchise for the Toronto Maple Leafs, ending their affiliation with the Red Wings. For the 47 season, the Hornets returned to the AHL Finals for the second time in team history, losing Game 7 to the Mid-State Hershey Bears. Now, the Maple Leafs' success with 4 Stanley Cup titles between 47 and 51 helped to solidify their position as minor league stalwarts. The Hornets played the Maple Leaf style of hockey that involved hard, close checking that produced low-scoring games. In 48, the Hornets only lost 18 for the best record since 1938. Max Kaminsky would end his coaching career in 47 with the Hornets with a 56.2% winning percentage. Now, Kaminsky won 91 games, lost 68, and tied 27. In 48, the Hornets set the team's all-time best record for goals scored in a season with 301. Sid Smith became the first and only Hornets player to score 50 goals in one season, with 55 counters and 57 assists, the highest in the AHL, to earn the John B. Sullenberger Trophy for leading scorer. Now, the 112-point total was the highest not only in the league but in Hornets history. Now, unfortunately, in 49, tragedy struck the team when star goalie Baz Bastian lost his right eye after being hit by a puck in the preseason. He would later become the coach and general manager. The next year, Bastian's replacement, Gil Meyer, went on to win the Harry Hap Holmes Memorial Award. The Hornets again made it to the Calder Cup Finals in 51, but lost in Game 7 to the Barons from Cleveland. Despite the loss, Bob Solinger was named MVP of the playoffs with 10 goals and 6 assists. Now, we knew a breakthrough was going to come for the Calder Cup title, and during the 52 season, Pittsburgh finished first overall to put himself in a good place towards the playoffs. They had 46 wins that year and 95 points. The Hornets then finally won their first Calder Cup on April 20, 52 by beating the Providence Reds in 6 games on a goal by Ray Hannigan during the game's second overtime at the Rhode Island Auditorium. The AHL's president, Maurice Podoloff, nor the Calder Cup trophy were present when the Hornets earned the title. They were later presented with the cup while traveling en route to Pittsburgh. It was also during the 52 season that the Hornets wore their famous black and gold jerseys for the first time. Now, the Hornets would return to the Calder Cup Finals the next year, only to lose in Game 7 to the Cleveland Barons. However, during the 55 season, Pittsburgh defeated the Bisons from Buffalo in 6 games to capture their second Calder Cup. The Hornets finished as first overall in the regular campaign, second time in team history, with 70 points. The great Willie Marshall won the MVP in the playoffs with AHL's best 16 points, which included 9 goals. Now, the first Hornets team entered after the 56 season, because on March 31st, 56, the Hornets franchise was they played their last game, and eventually the Hornets franchise was suspended for 5 years because of Pittsburgh's urban renewal project, Renaissance 1, calling for the gardens to be torn down. Demolition started 3 months later to make way for the Park Plaza apartments and a local fixture, Stouffer's Restaurant. Today, Durante's restaurant features the only remaining evidence of the gardens, with 2 11-feet-wide sections of exposed red brick wall. The wall would have been the front wall of the Gardens visiting team's dressing room. However, Durante's closed in 2008, and the bricks were removed and stored for 2 years. PittsburghHockey.net, an online Pittsburgh Hockey Museum, donated bricks to the Pittsburgh Penguins' current arena Console Energy Center for historical display. The display contains original bricks from the Duquesne Gardens and, of course, Mellon Arena. Now, the Gardens will be replaced as the home rink of the city's pro hockey team as the construction of the Pittsburgh Civic Arena began in 58, 3 miles to the west of the Gardens. At that time, due to disrepair of the arena and the franchise being suspended, the city of Rochester, New York, was awarded a franchise, becoming the Rochester Americans. Now, in 61, the franchise returned as a minor league team for the Red Wings. They emerged from 5 years of activity and played their first game in the Civic Arena on October 14, 61 in front of nearly 10,000 fans. The Hornets were back, but the records during the next 2 seasons gave little to cheer for. Now, Hornets set many NHL records during the 62 season. Most times shut out in the campaign with 9, most games lost in the season, 58, and most games lost at home with 27. The team also finished in last place in the AHL with the fewest wins in team history with 10, and the lowest point total in team history. The next season, the Hornets doubled their total of wins in their second campaign back. However, the team established the AHL records for the longest winless streak. The squad went 0-22-1 before beating the Bears from Hershey on March 26. Following the 63 season, owner John Harris sold the Hornets franchise to the great Bruce Norris, who was owner of the Red Wings. The purpose of the sale, Harris said, was to provide a better team for Pittsburgh fans. Norris, by having 100% interest in the team, would make sure better players were available to the Hornets. Now, things turned around dramatically in 1964 when the Hornets won 40 games, which was more than the previous 2 seasons combined under the Harris ownership. The future Conn Smythe winner, Roger Crozier, won the Dudley Redgard Memorial Award for being the AHL's Rookie of the Year. Crozier, who manned the cage for a number of games that year, also won the Harry Hap Holmes Memorial Award for the guest goalkeeper in the association. It was the 8th time in their 23-year history of the team that the Hornets goalie had won the award. Now, on February 8, 1966, Pittsburgh was granted an NHL franchise, which would become the Penguins. To make room for the NHL, Pittsburgh's AHL franchise had to be closed. However, the Hornets would go out with a bang. On April 30th, 1967, they finished a sweep of the Rochester Americans in the Calder Cup finals after the great Billy Harris scored 26 seconds overtime, which would be the last goal in Pittsburgh Hornets history. 31 years after the Hornets' first game, Coach Baz Bastian and team captain Ab McDonald were presented with the Calder Cup. Again, this was their last Calder Cup title. On February 3rd, 2001, the Pittsburgh Penguins minor league affiliate, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, eventually played a tribute game at the Mellon Arena against the Cincinnati Mighty Ducks, who were affiliated with the Red Wings, as well as the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim at the time. The WBS Penguins wore Hornets jerseys, and a banner was raised inside the arena to celebrate the 3 Hornets Calder Cup titles. The banner has since been removed from inside the Mellon Arena, and arena officials aren't sure of its exact location. Anybody knows anything of the mystery, contact the authorities. Now, during the first season, the Hornets were standouts in more ways than one. They wore wool jerseys that were likely recycled from the Olympics. The home jerseys worn by the Hornets during the first season in Pittsburgh were white with red trim. The front of the jersey featured a large circular crest with the Hornets logo and team name. The road jerseys were red and white trim around the shoulders and sleeves with a circular crest. Now, from 39 until 43, the Hornets home jerseys were red wool with a white script P and the word Hornets sewn onto them. The Hornets were a minor league team in the NHL Detroit Red Wings and likely wore hand-me-down jerseys from the parent club, which was the style at the time. This trend held on until the 47th season, when the team wore red wool jerseys for home games with a simple block number on front and back and a simple crew neck collar. The sleeves featured a Hornet wearing a Steelworkers hard hat. The road versions of the sweaters were reversed with white body and red trim. Now, the 48 jersey took the style one step further by including 7 stars in each sleeve, including a star below the Hornet near the cuffs. The road versions of these sweaters were reversed, white body with red trim. Now, in 51, the Hornets introduced a new black and gold color scheme that was familiar with the city's baseball and football squads. The color wasn't new for hockey in Pittsburgh, as the Pittsburgh Pirates wore these colors from 25 to 29 before switching to black and orange in 1930. The home jerseys again were wool. The color scheme was black with gold trim. The jerseys featured tie-down collars and a familiar Hornet and a hard hat on the sleeves. The road jerseys consisted of a gold body and black trim. By 1961, the Hornets returned to the ice and once again sporting red and white wool jerseys. The jerseys featured tie-down collars, a full circular crest trimmed in gold, replaced the familiar Hornet and a hard hat on its sleeves. The captain's C and altered the captain's A's were worn on the right side of the chest. The home jerseys were red and white trim and featured the stars on the sleeves again. Meanwhile, Hornets owner John Harris wanted his team to have a unique jersey for road games. The result was a blue wool jersey, trimmed in gold. The jersey lasted 2 seasons. However, there were problems with how the blue color translated on black and white televisions. Home teams wore darker colors, and unfortunately, the Hornets' blue jerseys looked like the dark. Rare television coverage was too confusing for viewers who couldn't see any contrast between the teams on the TV. Now, during the final years of the franchise, the Hornets wore the same jerseys used by the Red Wings, with the exception of a circular Hornets crest. Now, Jack Rowley, who was Pittsburgh Penguins GM in '67, made a very interesting comment about the Hornets. He gave all the tribute that he could to the franchise. He said the Hornets were a tough act to follow. We're replacing a title-winning team with a group of guys that might not be playing in the NHL if it weren't for expansion. So you know what he's saying there. If he could take the lineup of the Pittsburgh Hornets and put them on the Penguins, but majority of those players are owned by the Red Wings. Now, I want to talk a little bit about that those Calder Cup years a little bit, just to recount what happened. Now, in '52 was a weird year. They won 4-1 in games against Hershey in the first round, then got a bye and defeated Providence in the final. Now, '55, first round, he bet Springfield 3-1, won 4-2 over Buffalo, and that's what happened in '67 again. They bet Hershey 4-1 in the first round, got a bye, and then swept Rochester 4-0 in the final. Now, franchise leaders, including some key players, John Peanuts O'Flaherty and Bob Solinger, have the tie for most goals in team history, 130. Peanuts played from 40 to 50, while Solinger played from 49 to 56. Assists was Frank Mathers, 48 to 56. Peanuts had the most points with 319 from 1940 to 50, of course. And, of course, Pete Backor, one of the workhorses in the protection services for Pittsburgh, had 442 minutes and penalties between 45 and 54. Now, Hall of Famers that played for the squad included Sid Abel, George Armstrong, Marty Berry, Andy Bathgate, Leo Boivin, Jerry Cheevers, Fern Flabbin, Doug Harvey, Tim Horton, and Jack Stewart. In the builder category, Frank Mathers and Bill Torrey. And, of course, Howie Meeker is a player, but he was a Hornets broadcaster for a short while. Now, there's some interesting links about the Hornets as well. You want to check out different logos and stuff. And it's quite interesting with the Hornets as well. I really don't know where they got the idea for Hornets. I think it comes back because of the Pittsburgh Yellow Jackets, one of the original hockey teams in Pittsburgh. That team originally ran from 1915 to 1926, and actually, for a short while, they were called the Pittsburgh Canadians before turning into the Yellow Jackets. Now, the fact that we're called the Pittsburgh Canadians because they almost had an all-Canadian team when Mr. Conacher, Lionel, of course, one of the greatest athletes in Canadian history, was part of the squad. So, like I said, a very interesting, but I may do a podcast on the Pittsburgh Yellow Jackets down the road, but like I said, their legacy is just so deep, it would probably take a 30 for 30 to really talk about why they were good enough to make the NHL, but due to factors beyond their control, they weren't brought in. Anyway, I don't want to give it away, but you know where I'm getting at. They were the legacy besides the Hornets that really brought the Penguins in. And I still think they should have called them the Hornets, not the Penguins. No offense. Brian Spencer, God bless his soul, once said that, who's scared of a penguin? You see a hornet coming. You can do all kind of logos. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the legacy of the Pittsburgh Hornets. If you like what we're doing here, give us a like, comment, subscribe. As we like to say up North Shore way, keep your stick in the ice. Bye.